Welcome to Banfield. The chief of the Northport Police Department is doubling down tonight. He is meeting his critics head on, answering to complaints that Brian Laundrie managed to sneak out of his parents' house, even with a live police camera trained squarely on the home. It was a colossal mistake that resulted in the death of Brian Laundrie, the only person of interest in the case. It also means that Gabby Petito's family may never have the satisfaction of true justice in her death. So you would think that the chief might offer up some regrets, maybe an apology, perhaps an explanation. Instead, there was this comment from Chief Todd Garrison. People are making judgments on things that were discovered or learned over the last 5 weeks. We didn't know a lot of this information over the first 4 days. But the way I see crime and justice and investigation is that the point of the 5-week investigation is to figure out that information and perhaps not let the most critical person in the case, Brian Laundrie, slip away. Let me rephrase that. Drive away so incredibly easily. The chief's comments came this weekend at a police gathering in Venice, Florida. A panel was assembled to discuss law enforcement in that state. But, as you can imagine, the Brian Laundrie investigation came up, too. I certainly want to drill down on exactly what the chief said, but first I want to bring in NewsNation's Brian Entin, who watched this headline this weekend with a lot of interest because he's covered the story since the beginning. Okay, so, Brian, there was a lot of blame deflecting in all of the answers that the chief gave this weekend. Here's what the chief actually said about whether all eyes really should have focused on his jurisdiction of Northport, and I'm going to quote him. What a lot of people don't know, in June, Gabby and Brian moved out of their location and put a lot of stuff into storage, and they changed their address, and they moved to New York, and from there, they left for their cross-country adventure. My question to you here is the place of residence really the issue here, Brian? She was reported missing in New York. Yes, I get it. But her fiancé turned into his parents' driveway with Gabby's white transport van, and that driveway was in Northport, Florida. And Gabby, the owner of that van, was not in that van and ended up missing and dead. So I'm really struggling with this accommodation of it not being his jurisdiction.
Yeah, it's interesting, Ashleigh. Two things. First of all, the chief is owning up to the mistake to a certain degree. I mean, he did say in those comments that he believes in transparency and that he wanted to come out right away and tell the public, yes, we made a mistake here. They thought it was Roberta, but they thought it was Brian, but it was actually Roberta, which, all of our mouths sort of dropped open when we heard them first come out and say that. But he says he is trying to own up to it. The other thing is there was some confusion in the beginning, Ashleigh, about the jurisdiction that was going to be in charge of this missing persons case. There was an issue because Florida law says that the person has to be a resident of Florida for the case to be established in Florida. And in the beginning, they were trying to establish the case in New York. So I think that's what the chief was referring to in those comments.
But it's hard for me to come to terms with the fact that all of this was based in Florida when the Laundries would not speak. They knocked on that door. They became suspicious enough to put cameras up, not only on the front of the house, but the back of the house. So, yeah, it's your jurisdiction when the van and the guy show up in Florida without the owner of the van, who's missing. So let me take you to that sort of series of days, because Chief Garrison really did discuss about becoming involved, right? And let me read for you what he said. Now, we know that by the time we became the lead agency, Brian had already left the house and presumably had already been deceased out in the Carlton Reserve. I have a lot of questions about that, not the least of which we do not know when Brian died. There was 5 weeks of the potential of Brian being dead. We have no idea that it was, in the first or second day that he went on his walkabout. But I'm also curious about this whole notion that he says we became the lead agency 3.5 days after September 11th, which would be September 14th or 15th, Brian, which is the day after he went on the walkabout, and then the day that Roberta came home in the car, and it wasn't Brian. So he was the lead agency right at that very time. And he was the lead agency when he said, we've got eyes on him. And he was the lead agency on the Friday when it was Brian's now officially missing. So I'm struggling with this whole notion that, well, we weren't the lead agency when it mattered.
Yeah, I think some of it comes down to semantics, and it's interesting because I think in one way the chief is trying to own the mistakes they made. In the other way, he's trying to say, well, technically, we weren't the lead agency in the beginning because technically Brian and Gabby left from New York, and at that point we thought the New York authorities were in charge of things. But you brought it up. Bottom line, lead agency or not, they were doing surveillance on the house. They were setting up cameras. They had an officer out there watching. He has admitted that himself. And he has admitted, bottom line, that the officer thought it was Brian returning home, but it was actually Roberta.
Okay, so to that point, Brian, I kind of had to pick my jaw up off the floor and put it back on my face when I heard this one. And this has to do with that moment of misidentification, which to me would have maybe evoked the most contrition in this case. Nah, I'm wrong. So here again, these are the words of the chief, quote, "The surveillance team told me, Chief, Brian was seen going inside the house. It was 100% in my belief that what the team told me was accurate. There was nobody more surprised about that than me. As a leader, what do I do? Do I not tell the public what's going on? Do we conceal it, cover it up? No. People want open transparency and honesty from their law enforcement officials. Yes, we made a mistake. It was human error, but I still stand by my team." And to that I say, transparency is divine, and thank you for noting transparency. But I counted the days between this fiasco boondoggle business and the actual transparency. And Brian Entin, it took 40 days. 40 days. If you're counting in weeks, that is 5 weeks for that transparency to happen, and only after the body was finally found in the reserve. So is 40 days really transparency?
And we were all wondering all of this time. I mean, I was the reporter who asked that question on that Thursday, do you know where Brian Laundrie is? And he said yes, and he said it confidently. And we had no reason not to believe him or the police. They had been saying that all week. So I was sitting outside that house thinking to myself, they know where he is. He's either in that house in hiding and we haven't seen him, or he's someplace else, which is sort of what I was thinking at the time because I hadn't seen him coming and going, but police are following him and you know where he is. And it was just so interesting when we later learned that that wasn't the case at all. And you're right, it did take about 5 weeks for them to explain sort of what was going on behind the scenes, that this officer doing surveillance had made such a big mistake.
Okay, Brian, stay with me. I want to bring in another very strong voice into our conversation. It's Chris Swecker. He's the former assistant director of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division. You probably recognize him because he led the hunt for the Olympic Park bomber, Eric Rudolph. Okay, Chris, wow, this weekend, right? I didn't expect all of this to happen, but it did. And I want to just bring special note to you because you know how this stuff works. I just watch it as a viewer, but you work in this stuff. And when it comes to this misidentification of Brian's mom as Brian, again, middle-aged woman, wears flouncy blouses, she's kind of short, on the heavier side maybe, and then Brian, who's like a dude with a beard, who's tall and skinny, and 23. This is the quote that I'm going to give to you now from the police chief. As a 30-year law enforcement veteran doing surveillance, this is not uncommon. And if any expert out there says it is, they're lying to you. So, Chris, is it not uncommon to make that kind of a surveillance blunder?
Well, I'll just say this was not their finest hour, and it's certainly no time to spike the ball in the end zone. I don't know how much surveillance they've done within that department. They're a 17-person department, a chief and 4 sergeants and 1 lieutenant, so a third of them are officers, and 1 detective. So I doubt they've had much experience with surveillance. So I would question their frame of reference. in terms of how to do surveillance and what types of surveillance there are. This should have been a preventative surveillance, the type of surveillance where you don't mind being noticed, that you're visible and you're aggressive and you're trying to deter certain conduct, that being fleeing the jurisdiction, because they didn't have all the answers at that point. There may have been confusion about, who was a lead agency and who wasn't, but the fact remains, as you pointed out, Ashleigh, Petito's van was right there. It was in his driveway. He had been there for 10 days without reporting her missing. He was there. So all the elements of a potential crime were sitting right there in that house in that driveway. So that should have been the focal point. I would not concede that this is the type of mistake that's made all that often.
I've done surveillance too, and I'm not a police officer, I'm just a reporter, but I also know that if you decide to go to Starbucks, you do at your own peril. If you miss that thing that happens in 30 seconds to a minute, that's on you and your Starbucks. But whatever it was, they missed an entire car backing out of a driveway with a bearded kid in it, and then somehow didn't get it that it was a mom coming back. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to ask you about, this one really kind of got under my skin. So this is what the chief said, quote, "I can tell you one thing, the amount of work that was done behind the scenes 24 hours a day from our team and the FBI working on the second floor of the police department was phenomenal work. That work led the search teams to locate Gabby Petito, deceased." Just let that sink in for a second. Let me repeat it. That work led the search teams to locate Gabby Petito, deceased. I want to remind everyone, our primary focuses the first couple of days was to find Gabby. If Brian did go on the run, he would be found. I was confident of that. So I don't even know what to ask, but I'm pretty darn sure that Red, White, and Bethune found Gabby and Brian's van, and then were able to help the police find Gabby's remains. But I really am quite certain that it was not the Northport police chief who's now taking credit for that.
Yeah, again, they have one detective in that department. By the time when Gabby's body was found, that created federal jurisdiction. There may have been the peripheral involvement of the FBI up until that point. But once that body was found, I think the FBI went into high gear, and they have evidence response teams. They have the resources to man the call centers. They have the resources to chase down leads nationwide, put out appeals to the public, and follow up on those leads. So, they may have been part of a much larger team. And when I say larger, more like a national level team of FBI and other law enforcement agencies. But I think he may be stretching a bit to say that their actions resulted in the location of Gabby's body. I don't think that's the case at all.
You're just a very wonderfully well-spoken diplomatic person. I am not. And I want to bring Brian Entin back into our conversation, Chris, because he just came back from Wyoming, from Utah, retracing those steps. And Brian Entin, to be clear, it was Red, White, and Bethune spotting that van, going back over their social media feed, and then helping the authorities to find those bones, 1,000 feet that you walked through. I saw you forge the river up to your knees in water. It was not the Northport police that helped get the local authorities and medical examiner to Gabby's remains. Just walk me through that part again.
Yeah, bottom line, Ashleigh, it just is what it is. It's fact. We talked to the Bethune family. They are the ones who found the van. They had the dash cam video of the van. They created a YouTube video saying, "We think we have found Gabby's van," and they also called the FBI. And it was that tip and that YouTube video that the bloggers created that sent the FBI out to that area, and then it was just 1,000 feet from that van that Gabby's body was discovered. One other thing that's interesting, now the chief's sort of saying, well, Brian Laundrie was already dead, and we likely knew that at the time, and there was nothing we could have done. But let's not forget that, just a couple of weeks ago, we had Northport police, before they found the Laundrie remains in the swamp, telling us, oh, there's still a 50-50 chance that he could be alive. We still think he might be alive. FBI was still investigating all of these leads up on the Appalachian Trail. So they're now saying, oh, we knew that he was dead, but that's not what they were telling us a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and you know, he's out there saying, the police chief's out there saying, actually even the Sarasota sheriff Kurt Hoffman got in on this game and said, by all accounts, he probably committed suicide, and he was right out there where we thought he was. Who are you to say that? We don't have the autopsy back. We don't have the anthropology results back. We don't know how long, you know, Brian was out there. We don't know if he died on day 1, 6, 10, 20. We know he was skeletonized, but in that kind of heat, in that kind of swamp, and with those kind of animals, it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take too long to get there. All right. Well, I'm glad that you guys have, you know, made me feel like it's not just me, that I'm just livid at seeing this stuff. Like, stop with the attaboys, for heaven's sake. Brian Entin, thank you. Great work again. Chris Swecker, bless your heart. You're so gentle. I know that deep down you're probably like, you know, that law enforcement's better than this. But you're, again, very diplomatic. Thank you so much. Straight ahead.
Thanks, Ash.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.